Here we go. All right. Hello and welcome to Good News with Gabe Kimpson. That's me. Boy, oh boy, am I glad to finally be here. Now, this show is probably a little different than what you're used to. I'm going to be doing my best to give you exciting news stories ranging from new technology to medical advances to those rare cases when politics actually seem to be working, and those real gems when mankind shows some humanity. Now, this is a work in progress, but part of my vision for this is to establish meaningful and educational conversations that deal with issues that are near and dear to my heart. So, without further ado, let's get started. GM announced in January that they would be the first company to be able to mass produce self-driving test vehicles. On Tuesday last week, they announced that they'd done just that by completing 100 Chevy Volts equipped with their latest self-driving technologies, which means we are one step closer to letting you drive to the hair salon again, Grandma. That's reason to celebrate. The world's first human head transplant is scheduled for this upcoming December on a Russian man. And no, unfortunately, it is not Vladimir Putin. Italian surgeon Sergio Cannavaro has been planning this operation for 30 years. It's expected to cost $11 million, take 36 hours, 150 doctors and nurses, and one very precise lightning bolt. In space news, CNN reports today that NASA's Kepler mission has found 10 more Earth-sized planets in the coveted Goldilocks zone. Now, this is the habitable zone near a sun-like star that life as we know it needs in order to survive. This brings the total number of exoplanets discovered by Kepler to over 4,000 and brings the potential Earth-like planets discovered to 50. So what's the catch? The closest one is 12 light years away, and currently the fastest we've ever traveled is 1/18,000th of the speed of light. So we're not going to be visiting our neighbors anytime soon. Earth is still our only home. We do have good news, however, for travel in our own solar system, though. Billionaire owner of SpaceX and guy who I wish would just adopt me already, Elon Musk, announced in this month's issue of New Space, it's a science journal, the possible ticket price of his highly talked about trip to Mars. At a humble $200,000, you better start saving up if you hope to be a part of space travel history. Musk believes a self-sustaining city on Mars could be possible in the next 40 to 100 years, which is good news, people, because Stephen Hawking, and guy who is most likely to be an advanced alien sent from the future, said we only have about 100 years left before we destroy ourselves at the rate we're going. Speaking of breathing clean air, a chemistry professor from Central Florida discovered how to create photosynthesis in a synthetic material. Do you realize what this means? That we can create energy using the sun to suck out CO2 and poop out oxygen. Whew. This is good news. We have this unconfirmed response from Big Oil.
Hold up. Say what?
As if you needed any more reason to move to Hawaii, Futurism reported last week that Hawaii became the first state to pass a bill in support of universal basic income. I mean, come on, Hawaii, way to crush the game. First, you become the first state to accept the Paris Climate Agreement. Take that, Dani. And this week, universal basic income? What's next? Free surf lessons and pina coladas on Sundays? Count me in. In case you missed it, Facebook CEO and guy who has no reason to ever stop open mouth smiling like this. I mean, come on, look at that face. Just want to squeeze his cheeks. Mark Zuckerberg publicly announced his support of universal basic income to the graduating class at Harvard. He said some real shit here. We should have a society that measures progress not just by economic metrics like GDP, but by how many of us have a role we find meaningful. We should explore new ideas like universal basic income to make sure everyone has a cushion to try new ideas. Are you freaking joking my ass, Mark? This is good stuff. I agree. I mean, how creative are you when you are filled with worry about basic necessities? Now, I get it. Universal basic income comes with plenty of fears and concerns. But with billionaires like Elon Musk, Bill Gates, and now Mark Zuckerberg supporting the idea as a possible remedy to the nearly unavoidable trend of job loss caused by automation, it seems like we actually have a pretty sweet future ahead of us once we figure out how to get people shifted from menial, mindless labor to more creative activities. Now, one of the loudest concerns is that universal basic income will take away man's desire to work. That we'll just turn into a bunch of floating bean bags glued to our phones more than we already are. But I'd like to point out that billionaires like Elon, Mark, Bill, Beyonce don't need to go to work. Like, they literally don't need to lift a finger for their entire lives if they don't want to. I mean, they could hire a puppeteer to just move their fingers and hover them over Instagram and their bank account, just watching the numbers go up. But they don't. They wake up early, brush those expensive ass teeth, and go to work changing the world in the best way they know how to do. And you know why? Because they love it. Now, don't you think, given the opportunity to pursue their deepest goals, men and women everywhere would do just that? We're far from the end of this conversation, but I have hope in humanity. And that hope includes focusing more on our exciting innovations and less on the shock value of entropy. I hate to go already, but that's it for the first episode of Good News. I'd love to do a bunch more of these, so please help me out by liking, sharing, commenting down below. Like I said, I'd love to have conversations about these and other topics that affect us all, and they aren't going away anytime soon. We have enough doomsday news flooding the airwaves. My plan is to offer a little balance to the terror and a little hope for the future. Remember, we're all in this together. Peace out, dudes.